Hello and welcome to Who Are You? This is Babylon 5 Watchcast, hosted by two former strangers, now friends, who have gotten to know each other while rewatching a classic show from their childhood, Babylon 5. I'm Xhafer.
And I'm Laura.
And today we're joined by...
I'm Scott.
From Grey 17. Hey, Scott. How you doing?
Welcome back, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know why you let me back in, but here I am. I want to say, though, I mean, I don't have, like, the docile tones that your intro has, but it's... We'll do
My
it.
radio voice.
Yes. Hello and welcome to the late night discussion forum.
Yeah, that's us. All right.
Yeah. The spinoff of this podcast is just me reading Archive of Our Own. It's not going to be pretty.
Well, I have to ask you today, Scott. What do you want?
You still haven't answered my question, Ambassador. What do you want?
Well, what do you mean, what do I want?
What do you want?
You really want to know what I want? You really want to know the truth?
I wanna really wanna zig ah.
Does that answer your question?
What do I want? Is this in terms of, like, the context of the show or in general?
What do you want?
What do you want? Besides
me
me to do an Archive of Your Own read-through podcast.
Please don't.
I have no intention to.
I feel sorry for anyone who has to do that. In terms of the context of the show, I want me a damn reboot. But in terms of, in general, I just want, I want us all to get along, man. I want us all to get along.
All right.
And I want Mr. Morton to stop waving at me.
Yeah, the reboot, no news, obviously, with the strike and everything.
Sure, yeah.
There won't be for a while, but Road Home did just drop for us now. Most of us have gotten our copies this week.
I've been told if I say anything, Laura will beat me. So
Yeah.
I cannot say
Yeah.
a word.
Apparently, Oklahoma's just on the last end of the delivery schedule, and I just received mine. So please don't spoil these yet, but I look forward to chatting in the Discord.
There you go.
Yeah, the Discord chat's been popping with stuff. That's been fun to see and fun to finally talk about, because I've been sitting on my hands for this for a month.
I appreciate all your spoiler flags, and
I'm trying to be real strict on enforcing that in the Discord. So
yeah, thank you.
We were really terrible at it, so we just made our own spoiler section on our Discord and said, go there. Just go there.
Mhm.
If anyone finds their way that it shouldn't be there, it's your own damn fault.
fair
Yeah.
enough.
Whatever.
Well, lacking a segue is ironic for Season 4, Episode 14, Moments of Transition. We appear to have lost one here.
Oh, nice. I like it.
It's not the worst pun you've thrown at me today. The other one,
True.
luckily, wasn't recorded, but it's not the worst pun.
You don't have to repeat it for the audience.
I
Not
won't.
good, guys.
We open on a restless Garibaldi getting a call from Mr. Edgars,
Good morning, angels.
who calls hella early here. He notes he's on call 24/7, so all of his employees are too.
Rude.
All right, Elon, this doesn't mean shit. No one has your number on purpose. You're like notoriously secretive. And the people that do aren't going to call you in the middle of the night because they're terrified of you. Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
How can you say with an honest face you're on call 24/7 when no one will actually call you? You hold weird hours and you're not respecting people, is my immediate vibe from Edgars here.
Well, and no one has seen his face, right? I don't remember if we said that in this episode or the previous episode, but like,
I think it's in this
nope.
one they say that.
Yeah, it's this one. Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows what he looks like, even. Like,
Yeah.
See, you say Elon, but I feel this, man. I'm an insomniac, so my staff get like emails from me at 3 a.m. They know they're not supposed to actually respond to them,
yeah.
but I feel this. Now, I don't voice call them, though.
Yeah.
Again, because I don't have an Edgar's voice. That voice is like butter.
He's clearly expecting people to pick up that call, though. You're being
Yeah.
very considerate. When you email at 3 a.m., you're just like, this is for later. Mr. Edgar's not so much.
Yeah, working for a large international business where a lot of the people I interact with daily are in Europe or Japan. I get a lot of the weird time zone emails, but no one
sure.
calls me that early.
Yeah.
And if they do, I sure as hell don't answer.
Well, is that it then? Is it just like the time difference between Babylon 5 and Mars? Like, he's just on a different time zone?
I think he calls it out, but even then, it's just like, it's still, his statement is rude as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep in mind, though, and not that I'm defending Mr. Eggers at all, but let's keep in mind, too, Garibaldi isn't exactly not being crotchety, like, all times of the day right now.
True.
Fair.
He may be acting a little bit more than usual that way, so...
Yeah. This man is a walking okay boomer, right?
Another medical supply currently unpatented is coming through the station, and Garibaldi needs to make sure it gets where it needs to be. So he's got his B-plot mission.
In the A-plot, John Sheridan is worrying about Delenn. As we heard, there's unrest on Minbar.
Mm-hmm.
And we get the answer that I asked a question last time. Apparently, crystals do burn.
Yes, we see burning crystal buildings on Minbar. So they are, in fact, burnable crystals, whatever crystals they use for construction.
I thought you were going to say, apparently Nehruin burns too, but no.
Hey, you just spoiled the end, dude.
If you're listening to the show, do your listeners usually watch the 15-minute segment and come to you all?
I hope
watch
not.
The next 15?
I hope not. But, if you're out there, let us know. Find us in the Discord.
I gotta say real quick, when Sheridan wakes up, he has the classic missing your partner move where he's clearly sleeping on her pillow because it's elevated. Like when you look at him, he's at a 35-degree angle.
That's very Minbari, yeah.
Her pillow is stacked on top of his, you can see in the shot, and her pillow is massive and his is just like a normal pillow. So I appreciate the Minbari sleep angle continuity.
It's the little things in life, right?
Right. This show, details. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so more to your point, Laura, about the burning crystals. Last episode, I had said maybe our cultural standards for Civil War are a little different. Maybe the Minbari would consider something Civil War that we might consider a peaceful protest.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly not the case.
Yeah, I think Minbari don't kill Minbari has been thrown out the window at this point, right? I don't think this is all property damage that we have here.
No, it's been thrown out the crystal, for sure.
What's the argument given that they're just going to reincarnate anyway, so it's fine. It's fine.
Oh yeah, they'll just come back. But I guess
I'm really screwing up your format because I keep jumping to scenes that we haven't gotten to yet. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
You're fine. But that begs the question too: do these Minbari not know about the whole humans thing?
They don't.
Yeah. Oops.
We know that Nehruin might. So Nehruin, Grey Council,
yes,
would know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But our other Minbari is Shi'Elit, which is the Minbari generals, not Grey Council. Would not know.
Well, of course, Nehruin either laughs at it or just thinks it's completely false anyway. So when he was told about all of this, he thought it was a joke. So doesn't matter to him.
Yeah.
Whoops. Anyway.
Yeah.
Back into the episode.
We're at Ranger HQ and Delenn is attending to as many extras as they could loaf up.
I thought the same thing. I was like, wow, budget cuts in season 4. Because for me, for those who haven't checked out Grey 17, we're about a season behind these guys. And I've gone out of my way to only watch a week after week with our newbies. So I haven't watched season 4 in a long time, like pre-COVID. And so I'm looking at this like, oh, I forgot season 4 had massive budget cuts.
Yeah. So we go to theme after we're told that tomorrow they're going to get nuked or something. Some kind of orbital bombardment. They don't really specify, but the cities are going to be destroyed.
They're going to do the Sheridan on their own cities.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Back from theme, and Lyta nails this interview, but she knows she's going to fail the background check when they bring it up.
Yeah.
Rough
what a
place
disappointment.
to be. I am so confused here. How is it hard for her to find work?
Truly.
Serious question. there have to be companies not fond of Psycor. That has to be a thing that would still need a commercial telepath for things, or alien governments, or maybe one of the rebelling Earth colonies, or just anyone. I would think she would be one of the most sought after telepaths in existence for business at this point, because she's a human telepath. And we know that when telepaths interact with alien races, it typically doesn't go as well or is not as accurate. That's established in canon. And so a human telepath who is not attached to Psycor and still able to operate and not be actively hunted, she's one of a kind.
And if anywhere those corporations are going to be, they're going to be on Babylon 5, in and out or established there, right? The ones that are trying to not be involved with Psycor, right?
Yeah. And there are a ton of Earth colonies outside of Mars and Epsilon 3 and Babylon 5. They're very sparsely mentioned, but they totally exist. They're just not actively rebelling. There has to be someone there that would give her a job. I refuse to accept that she cannot find any work. And I'm by no means, and this to the shock of none of our listeners, a pull you up by your own bootstraps kind of guy.
True.
Yes. I'm not someone to advocate just hitting the pavement and finding a job. I know that's not how it works in reality, and I still cannot believe that Lyta cannot just go on Indeed and immediately get 5 million job offers.
Yeah. Scott, you have a very thoughtful look on your face.
I get it, and I completely agree that she could probably be an independent contractor, but I see it kind of like, Earth Alliance is still the end-all be-all. Maybe the girl just needs a W-2. You can't get health insurance unless you're working for a legitimate organization. So maybe she is doing side projects. I mean, she's doing side projects with the Vorlon, but I think she just wants to be legitimate. So I agree. If she's saying she can't find any work, I completely agree. There's definitely stuff down below you can go figure out. Mm-hmm. But if she's looking for legitimate work, working for a company that's going to give her some benefits, some, a little bit of a pension.
Above the table,
then
taxes,
Exactly. She wants that W-2. I understand.
That Vorlon healthcare plan had to be really sweet, and it must be really hard to take a step down after you've had great benefits like that.
Ever want.
Yeah.
Is Babylon 5 a tax haven, by the way, guys?
Well, it's a revolutionary spot. It's like Casablanca now, right?
Yeah.
They state multiple times that their only income is renting rooms and docking fees. So they're not charging taxes to any of the businesses outside of rent. And
we know that Sheridan was such a little whiny punk back in season 2 that they're not charging enough for the rooms anyway.
Right.
True. Just wondering about the business implications of being in a revolutionary state. Let's save it for a side podcast. Naroon meets up with who we learn is his boss. I was not sure if they would be peers or his boss last time. It's pretty clear he's the boss.
I think it is interesting because the lack of respect for the Grey Council by the Warrior Cast was always kind of there. Mm-hmm. But this shows even more. It's okay, you're on the Grey Council, which has been broken now, but you were still a leader. But no, you're going to answer this general guy because he's the revolutionary leader. It just shows how much the Grey Council is kind of a joke to the Warrior Cast, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's taking the moral standing that killing Minbari is regrettable, but they will just reincarnate, so you aren't really killing anyone. And these are the kind of mental gymnastics that make Ben, if we have to abandon the coasts because of global warming, then those people will just move and sell their houses, Shapiro proud.
You were just saying how you're not the pull yourself up by the bootstraps guy. I appreciate that you're continuing down that path.
Longtime listeners know how I feel.
Yeah, we've drawn some lines in the sand, I think.
Oh, so have we. And I still get the YouTube comments. It's great.
That's why why we don't post on YouTube?
I had a guy a couple weeks ago try to argue why fascism isn't that bad. I'm like, oh, really?
Cool. Cool.
Well, what is bad is, from Ben Shapiro's perspective, who the fuck are you going to sell your houses to when they're underwater, Ben, Aquaman? And at that point, if you're going to kill a ton of people so that they can reborn, who's going to have those fucking babies? Just like think about what you're saying for 5 seconds and it completely falls apart.
You're asking for a lot, my friend.
I know. I know. He spits some warmongering bullshit until he dismisses Naroon. And then we cut over to Space TSA. Garibaldi is hanging out with WCW referee Charles Little H. Robinson as Zach gets to deal with Bester coming in. That is such a deep cut. The one person who got that joke, I'm so happy that we shared a
They
moment
laughed
right
really
now.
hard.
I know.
They did. Yeah. Yeah.
Bester runs some verbal circles around Zach, promising he's just there for normal sidecar stuff and doesn't need to involve the senior staff. And he pulls a doctor and asks about Zach's health.
Don't you think she looks tired?
Bester learns they don't teach Dickens at Garibaldi's homeschooled security training. Zach catches up with Alfredo and knows exactly what he's up to, but Garibaldi can neither confirm nor deny that he's insulted.
Can I really quick just point out how much of a national treasure, international treasure, Walter Koenig is?
Yeah.
Is this line delivery of mankind or humanity is my business. I'm like, oh, I love you.
He's great. I just saw him at Star Trek Las Vegas, and he is not doing well.
Did you see what he put out?
I did.
A couple days later. So
yeah,
I don't know if I even told you this story, Beth, but Walter Koenig got lost at STLV and asked Beth for directions.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. So that was bad, but it was bad enough where in an elevator talking to other people later, we had encountered other people who had also helped him. He was just wandering around lost at the convention for a while, apparently. So
bless his heart.
Yeah, I know his wife passed last year.
Yeah.
And he's apparently not been doing great since then. And the panel he gave at STLV was great. It was great to hear him, but he is clearly very elderly at this point.
We were trying desperately to try to get him on our show,
mm-hmm.
and we finally were told by his people that he just doesn't do them anymore because his hearing is so bad.
I believe that.
He really he doesn't want to get lost. In the dialogue.
I saw him last year at Star Trek Las Vegas and could tell that hearing was kind of an issue for him.
No, but he put out an announcement a few days ago where it was like for another con. He's like, "See me before I'm dead."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was scrambling to try and get a Bester action figure so I could have him sign it at this convention, and I was not able to procure one. So
look there.
It's the only one I haven't opened.
Yeah.
I will not open it. But here it is.
Scott's got the original, man.
Yeah.
I just need to get my shadow guy. That's all I got to get. But I don't want to spend $150 on a toy.
But you will.
It's a collectible, sir.
I keep trying to hint at some of our audience members, like, hey, I don't have a shadow action figure. You send all the B5 for the first time guys like all this crap. Send me something. What are you doing?
Yeah.
After this, Delenn tells Linear the religious cast is going to surrender to commercial. And when we come back, Bester rolls up on Lyta and grabs a quick jab at Ivanova before getting to the point. Lyta needs the Psy-Corps to be able to get a job. He lists his terms. She has to wear the badge and the gloves. 10% of your fees get taxed and go to the Corps. And there's this little footnote at the bottom of the page, just your body after you die.
Yeah.
You're making it sound like it wasn't that creepy. I want your body.
I want your bod.
I have to wonder, and actually, you'll have to tell me this, if this is a thing where when you watch it for the first time, instead of knowing how this plays out, if that comes off as a, like, pleasure thresholds vibe. If that was supposed to feel overtly sexualized, because it did.
I felt like, it had like a reproductive-y kind of vibe to it. Because we know that about Psy-Corps, right?
Yes.
That they like match people up to try to have the most optimal babies. And now Bester knows the thing about she's definitely been altered by the Vorlons in some way. So he wants them sweet, like Vorlon telepath babies. definitely the first read and probably the actual truth. Like, do you really think he wants to just wait until she's dead?
I think he thinks that's his only chance.
Bester will tell you exactly what you need to hear at that moment. So when he's telling you, don't worry, it will be natural causes. He's not going to wait 30, 40, 50 years for Lee to kill over. He'll find a way to make it natural.
They want those eggs while they're fresh. That's what I'm getting out of it, which is horrifying.
Yeah. To sleep, perchance to dream, Lyta tells him, and aye, that's the rub, Bester replies. He'll be here for a few more days, though, should she change her mind. And Garibaldi is revealed to witness this whole thing. Naroon lays down the plan to the Shy Elite, who lets him know he's going to make like a Cardassian tailor and make sure Delenn's ship doesn't get home. It's a Deep Space Nine joke.
Working 9 to 5.
I want to know what the hell is going on.
Not yours.
Com never got me a damn thing.
Don't turn your back on me. Don't you even try to walk away from me. Just who the hell do you think you are?
If you have something to say to me, say it.
Now get the hell out of our galaxy.
9 to 5.
That's enough!
I got it.
Okay. It's a good episode in the Pale Moonlight. I don't know why I'm explaining this. Our listeners surely.
We all know it.
Yeah,
we know it.
everyone knows. This is just, I'm just rambling nervously because I didn't think my joke was as funny as I thought it was when I wrote it.
I just miss Aaron Eisenberg. That's all.
Yeah. I just wish I had come up with a joke as good as Chekhov's telepath, but still haven't.
That's still my crowning moment.
It's a good joke. Lyta is making a dinner in a BB-8 branded air fryer as Zach comes in to deliver the bad news personally. Lyta's going to have to move to significantly smaller quarters.
Those are very spacious quarters.
They are. I appreciate how much this scene mirrors the one with Garibaldi from a couple episodes ago, where Zach had to deliver the bad news to Garibaldi, and he wanted to make a point of doing it personally, and Garibaldi was an asshole about it. Mm-hmm. And in this case, it's all like, you're right. If I had heard this from someone else, it would have bothered me. So we get some vindication for Zach Allen here.
Yeah, and you know what? He didn't turn away from it, even though the last guy was a big asshole about it.
Yeah,
he's still sticking to his guns about, I got to do these things personally. Mm-hmm. And he gets a gracious reception for once.
Yeah, he does ask Lyta to illegally scan Garibaldi, and she refuses.
Oh, so she's still sticking to those guns. That's nice.
They are touchy-feely here.
He is touchy-feely. Is she touchy-feely back?
She
I don't know.
Approaches him a handful of times, hands on shoulders and stuff. It is. It felt reciprocated to me, but in a like maybe second date in high school like kind of way, like a not really sure what's going on, but something is going on. It felt to me.
Do you think that they're making the point now for later about the gloves? That she's going to be cut off and can't touch people?
And that's a good call out. Yeah. That's what that is. 100%.
Got to establish it a little bit.
Yeah. After this, we go over to Garibaldi. He decides to go on the hunt for Dogbert, Catbert, and Scott Adams' sanity after, let's say, 2015. And let's promise each other right now, dear listener, that we won't give that asshole the legitimacy of a bump in Google search statistics by checking when he lost his sanity. Let's just agree to pull that date out of our asses collectively rather than acknowledge that guy.
Yeah, it was recent.
It was recent.
Was it, though?
Super recent? Well, I'm talking about like in his lifetime.
Okay.
The scale of that, not like the scale of...
Yeah, I mean, he wrote a book about how successful Trump's campaign was and how it was obvious to anyone paying attention, so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think great. It's easy to predict them after the cards fall, Nostradamus.
It's so funny, you know, The Simpsons predicts a lot of things, but who would have known that Babylon 5 was going to predict Mr. Adams
hanging out with a conservative talk radio host? Yeah.
To be fair, I'm not usually the defender of conservatives, but Jerry Doyle was absolutely a conservative radio host, but he was a conservative radio host before the conservatives became the Trumpers.
You
pretty
do
sure
wonder.
He died before the
pretty
Tea
sure-
Party movement, so he does get the benefit of that.
So we don't. I mean, he very well could have gone full tilt T, but Jerry is a different kind of.
There are some that you can point to, and I couldn't name them, but you hear these stories sometimes of the people who flipped because of how far right it went. But
Yes, I know several.
I know a
I'm
handful.
I'm a recovering politician. I know several people who have jumped ship because it's not the ship anymore. It's like this is something
it's
different.
a different ship.
Yeah, it's like when Clark decides to bomb Mars, whose side are you on?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can make the charitable assumption. Maybe Jerry Doyle would really object to martial law. Who knows?
He just wants a beer. That's all.
Yeah. Lyta steps in to ask Garibaldi for work. He starts to work out the details just to annoy Bester, who then joins them just to talk shit and walk away. He does a light scan on Garibaldi so that Lyta can tell him, and they all end up arrested.
Yeah. Everybody did something illegal here.
Yep. Dude, I did really like the scene where Zach's just waiting on the staircase for Bester.
Yeah.
Just like,
he's just been tailing him this
I'm gonna
whole
get
time,
this
right?
100%.
Yeah.
Over at the ancient Minbari temple, the leaders gather. Delenn gives Lanier her suicide note as they enter.
And it legitimately is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shakiri laments the conflict of the last 3 weeks. 4, maybe?
When we first hear from this guy, and this was a while back, there's almost a moment there we're like, okay, he's making some sense. He's pulling the Truman argument. Like, we had to fight, and people died, but more people would have died if we did it the other way. And then he goes full tilt, just, kill them all and let reincarnation sort it out. But
yeah,
originally he's like, I had to do this. But then, he turns into this guy, so it's fine.
Yeah. No, it was interesting hearing those arguments, also having just seen Oppenheimer within the last week.
Which, by the way, if anyone hasn't, go now. Hit pause, go.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Get out there. Which means I should go, guys. I'll be back later.
It was good.
It's going to get all the Oscars. All the Oscars.
I'm sure.
You do need to see Barbie first, though. It does help the movie make sense. I will say it was a weird move to compare Sex with Florence Pugh to the atomic bomb, but you know what? It is what it is. That movie had some weird choices it made.
There's legitimately nothing I can say here that won't get me in trouble, and therefore I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
So Delenn surrenders on behalf of the... Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh broken.
Not the first time. Delenn surrenders on behalf of the religious caste. Shakiri wants to make Minbar great again, but Delenn interrupts him to make her play. The old ways of Minbar was a game of chicken ending in suicide. Naroon calls out Shakiri's bullshit. Shakira. And immediately one of those...
I'm sorry. Can we have a timeout?
We can.
Did you just say Shakira's bullshit? Do the hips not lie?
The hips don't lie. Naroon calls out Shakiri's bullshit.
Here you go.
Goes into the beam of pain where Delenn is, and is immediately one of those dudes who uses a TENS unit to simulate menstrual cramps and just keels over in pain.
He's at the one.
Exactly, yeah. He's just like, nope.
I'm out.
Delenn is like, this is Tuesday, and I'm screaming.
We need to talk about this beam, though.
Yeah.
This is a Vorlon beam, right?
Oh.
This has to be like Vorlon technology that helped them
That's
encourage martyrdom.
Ooh.
I mean, the Vorlons aren't twin with the Minbari anymore, but they absolutely did.
Right.
Absolutely did.
And that would have been the time frame for this, yeah.
Yeah, 1,000 years ago when they were playing with them like they play with humans now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw them kind of encourage Jakar towards things and towards that sort of martyrdom vibe.
Yeah.
And this is literally like the martyr beam.
Yeah.
The martyr beam.
Yeah. Shakiri leaves the beam, and Delenn decides to just stay in it and die for the drama. And
well, I mean, she's following tradition. The girl, she's a badass. And when she says she's going to do something, she's going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
This resonated so much with me with a book that I recently read. And I think I mentioned this on Pod a couple of weeks ago, A Memory Called Empire.
Yeah.
It's about a star empire who conducts all politics through poetry. And every single one of these people is a dramatic bitch for it. And I love it. And it just, watching Delenn just like, guess I died to prove a point now, just reinforces that type of attitude, and it reminded me so much of the book. Anyways, Naroon's been on Broadway, and no one out-dramas a San Fran theater kid. That city gave us Emperor Norton I, Emperor of the United States and Protector of Mexico.
Yeah,
he has to honor that. He pushes Delenn out of the beam, renounces the warrior caste, and joins the religious caste as he is reduced to a literal smolder.
Yeah. Real talk. I did not remember what happened to Naroon when we started the show.
My heart is religious.
Melts.
Did not remember this at all. I just remember when Naroon showed up, I was like, oh, I hate that guy. He sucks.
See, that's what I'm looking for. One of the guys I'm looking forward to the most, the build up and the arc of the character is Naroon, because my newbies were the same way. Like, this Naroon guy's a dick. I'm like, oh, just wait till season 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they'll hit last episode and see him and Delenn actually talking and start to turn around, I'm sure.
But then you get confused. It's brilliant. It is a good.
Yeah.
So
like
my question for you guys on this is, when did Naroon turn? Did he turn before he had his first meeting with Shakiri?
Oh yeah.
Did he turn during the meeting of Shakiri? Did he turn at the beam of intense pain? When did he finally decide to make the turn?
This was all their plan. So,
was it though?
Here's my evidence, right? So at the end of last episode, which I don't know if you watched that one in addition to this one, because I know it's weird for you.
Not in 4 years ago.
Okay, so that episode ends with Naroon calling Shakiri to be like, hey, the religious caste is planning this counterattack, right? Mm-hmm. We hear nothing of this counterattack the entire time. They never mention it. Yeah. They don't even talk about attacking when they arrive. Delenn is all like, no, we're going to make this work. Neither of us can win. The entire time there is no counterattack. He uses this to get his seat at Shakiri's side. So that way, when it comes to the surrender that Delenn told him is coming, remember, Naroon's the one who picked this place. If they had picked somewhere else, they wouldn't. Naroon could have picked anywhere to accept surrender. And strategically, you probably wouldn't pick a place on the planet. You'd probably pick your capital ship with Delenn, and that's it, instead of this audience. So Delenn picked this place because that's 100% Delenn style. Delenn knew what the plan was. That's why she had, she knew where they were. She has her suicide note ready. And Naroon said it for Delenn on Delenn's behalf. He had turned before he left on the shuttle when Lanier watched him leave.
Okay, yeah. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I buy that too. Like, it felt weird at the end of that episode, and I went, oh no, did he just turn on us? But he was calling them about information that had never been established in the episode. So, it was designed to be a little tricky, I think, and make you wonder. Mm-hmm. But I think it is all a ruse.
Well, let me take a look at my viewing schedule real quick, and I will tell you when I will realize that I was a wrong idiot on
that. Hey, or you can come back and tell us we're wrong idiots. Just revisit it.
I'm sure. I just haven't watched that one in a long time.
Yeah,
a long time.
You'll get around.
No, and it fooled me at first,
and
then
be January 14th of next year.
Okay.
I'll put it on my calendar
when I will watch that episode.
I will expect a text message, or at the very least, something on the Grey 17 Facebook group.
My heart is, who are you?
Edgars wakes up Garibaldi again, telling him to fire Lyta. So he does. And Bester watches just to get off on it. I will say there was some Usenet traffic thinking that Edgars was Bester at this point.
Yeah.
I could see that. I mean,
Mhm.
this whole Edgar's thing is like very confusing.
Yeah.
Who is this dude? What is going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did love JMS's response to that, though.
Which was, we've
was the
already
one-
cast this actor.
Yeah, well, I mean, his first piece was not a chance.
Yeah.
A famously short, responsive man sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I got up and asked him a question at San Diego Comic-Con, and he just looked at me and
Ooh.
said no. So
There was an interview he did after you had watched the new movie.
mhm.
I caught it on YouTube, and the first guy asked a question that was just a pretty piss poor question, and JMS just looked at him and was like, "Next question." Like, you burned your one there, kid. Good job.
At least you didn't get that, Xhafer.
It's true. I mean, I feel like I had a very good thought out question that we'll talk about on the next League of Non-Aligned podcasts.
Yeah.
Uh,
Some of us count different things. I count how many times JMS smacks me around on Twitter. I'm up to 4.
Oh, good for
we got a
you. Look at
retweet from
that.
him the other day. It was exciting.
Nice. I saw that.
Happiest day of my life. Yeah.
Right? The great maker has seen us. All according to plan here. According to Bester, though, Garibaldi is pushed farther into Edgar's pocket, and Lyta has to take his offer to join the Corps. Why couldn't she go to Sheridan at this point?
You don't think? Yeah, Sheridan might want to hire Telka.
Just to stop Bester, if
No, I hear
nothing
you,
else.
But remember, Sheridan is the landlord of B5, and he just kicked her out of her quarters, too. She
Oh, true.
doesn't. She's being told through their actions, and she even dealt with this when she first came back on board.
Yeah.
Back in season 3. They only are there to use her, and she knows that. No one respects her. No one is not scared of her. So I don't think she has that relationship with Sheridan to do anything like that.
I would think as a last recourse, you could be like, how about you don't kick me out of my quarters and I don't have to work with Bester is a good deal for Sheridan.
Lyta's always an interesting character, and there's stuff we can talk about when you all get to season 5.
Yeah.
But she's an interesting character, an interesting dynamic, and it's fascinating how JMS writes her, and I'll just leave it at that.
Delenn is still healing from her experience in the wheel, but still managed to get on the broadcast to reform the Grey Council, this time with a worker caste majority. And I have to wonder what the Minbari population actually looks like and how well this represents it.
That is
good
interesting.
question.
That's an interesting question.
Can you imagine if the House of Representatives nationally was organized by occupation instead of geographic location?
Let's make 50% of the house teachers, please.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be nice. Yeah, just a thought. I don't.
Just-
we don't.
yeah.
We don't need to dig into that at all. We'll
Can you
talk about
imagine
it
the
all
Grey
day.
Council has turned into if anyone's ever been listening, I'm sure many of you have been a part of a good old workers union. Just think about the beer meetings in the middle of the night. That's what the Grey Council is going to be. Like, oh, let's talk about management. God dang it! Give me another Budweiser. What the hell?
I have to clean up after those all the time because no, my backyard shares a wall with a steelworkers union.
Hey, my dad
Nice.
was a steel worker, man. They had the best party.
I'm not talking shit, but I do have to go up and clean up empty cans and union literature
Yeah.
that gets tossed over the wall after those gatherings.
I said best parties.
All the best parties have union literature.
Right.
Mhm.
Ivanova runs into Sheridan's quarters on a fucking mission, bringing footage of Clark's military attack killing 10,000 civilians. Sheridan watches this, resolves to take the fight back to all the way to Earth, and depose this tyrant to credits.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about. I wanted to bring up a thing
Bring up a
before we
thing.
wrap.
The thing.
I couldn't remember where the last scene with Lyta is placed exactly in all this ending sequence,
Mhm.
but I wanted to point out that, as she's putting on her gloves and we see the badge, she's doing that suit again that I believe we saw this type of suit on Talia that has a very collar, literal
Mm-hmm.
dog collar, animal collar on this very nice tailored suit. And I just think that's a, interesting, nice detail of costuming
Yeah.
about what's going on with telepaths.
Yeah. And of course, the good old gloves.
Need those gloves.
Which, speaking of action figures, you can get a Lyta with gloves and without gloves.
Ooh.
In case you're like really into that.
I've got a couple behind me, but not a ton. If I pan my camera up here,
next to the guitars,
next to the guitars and the,
you keep them in the box. You're a good person. I'm not.
I've got a.
I cracked all those suckers open.
I got a Veer and a Londo and a Delenn and a Sheridan up there.
I have all of them now except for the before transformation Delenn, the with gloves Lyta, the Shadow, and there are two ambassadors. One's a Markham, I believe, and the other one is like the anteater gas mask guy.
The Gaim.
No, one's a Drazi.
Okay.
I'm wrong. One's a Drazi. So I don't have those. And that's really because, speaking of asshole conservatives, Mitt Romney bought KB Toys back in the 90s. Right when that
dick.
Did he?
Yeah, he did. It was Bain Capital.
Oh yeah.
Bain
Okay.
Capital. Yeah. So I was a KB Toys guy. Okay. 90s, I was in high school. We had a KB Toy store. Oh, it was great. And these Babylon 5 figures were mainly run for KB Toys. And that last run came out right when KB was going under. That's why, one, you can find them fairly cheap on eBay because there was a shit ton of them and no one bought them. But on those those chase figures, like the ambassadors and the Bester and all that, they're hard to get a hold of because of Mitt Romney.
God, conservatives ruin everything.
You can send your hate mail to gray17podcast@gmail.com.
That is a fun little piece of trivia I never knew. I'm going to file that right next to Rick Berman got us Barack Obama as president in my brain.
Yeah, I actually worked on that campaign.
Oh, congratulate on the Rick Berman for Barack Obama campaign.
No, but we were definitely involved in the, oh God, we just lost Jerry Ryan on that one. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was a while where it was going to be Jack Ryan, not from the Clancy novels, and it was going to be a race. I think Barack still would have won, but and then Jack Ryan had a sex dungeon with Jerry, and we're like, oh, okay, I guess we win this one. Thanks, guys.
Look at all our hard work. We did so good. Go team.
All right. Well, Scott, take a couple minutes. Tell us about Gray 17.
Sure.
Where we can find you, your community, your Twitter, all that good stuff.
Get the big old power outlet here so I can do a shameless plug.
Yeah.
So we are at Gray 17. We are a podcast of newbies and old bees or first ones, whatever you want to call us. So we have a group that are watching the show for the first time and a group of us who have watched it way too many times. And so we have our newbies kind of talk about each episode one by one. We're currently almost done with season 3. So this would be a great time to check us out if you haven't already. And then once our newbies get ejected out the airlock, we talk all the spoilers on the back end of the episode too. So you get a little bit of both. It's been really fun for me because I was there in 93 watching The Gathering, and I watched it all through PTN and TNT and all of that. So I don't get to experience Babylon 5 like this again. But now with our newbies, I'm seeing stuff through fresh eyes, which is really, really fun. So you can check us out on all of your podcast or YouTube or anything. Just search Gray 17 Podcast. You'll find us. And we're on all the socials as well.
Awesome.
Excellent.
All right.
We got to ask.
The answer is 42.
Always is.
Sorry, the scale only goes to 1 to 5. How do you rate this episode on a scale of Babylon's 1 to 5?
You know, this, again, as you've already mentioned, and I've mentioned, it's weird for me because I'm knee deep in season 3. And you just asked me to like randomly watch a season 4 episode, completely random. It's a good episode. Anything with Bester is above average right off the bat. And like I said, Walter Koenig is an international treasure. I'm going to say it's probably a 4. It's definitely one that I would say it is a moment of transition. Everything kind of moves along. And there is bigger stuff to come. There was bigger stuff before. This is a piece where we kind of get to a crescendo. I think the best part of this episode, aside from Bester, is Nehru's arc coming to an end, because I think that's an arc that has been done well for 3 years of a show. and the actor's been great, and it's good to see him finally get to where, if you've watched before, you know where he's going. That's fun. So I would say about a 4. There's a lot more good stuff to come, but it's a fun one.
Yeah, I agree. Above average episode of Babylon 5. I would also give it a 4. I really, really love the stuff with Nehruin, especially because I didn't remember it. That he goes out in a nice blaze of glory. The only like downer for me was like, I felt like the stuff at the very end where we've discovered that Earth has been firing on its own ships and civilian ships. It felt a little tacked on. It was kind of that things are going a little faster now in this season. That was a little disappointing. But if that's my quibble, like that's a small quibble.
There's a reason for that. That's more meta that I'm sure you don't want me to talk about on this podcast yet. But there's a reason for that.
Yeah, we have discussed the pending. We are past the point now. I don't think I've mentioned it in a couple of episodes, but we've talked about it before that they were unsure about season 5 happening, and so the pace of things had to dramatically change to cut season 5 into season 4 to get to a satisfactory conclusion of the story.
This moment feels like that.
And JMS was asked for this episode, would this been the season finale of season 4? He said, no, this would never have been a season finale, but it feels like it. It feels like if you're going to transition from a season 4 to a season 5, it feels like, I mean, it's called in the title. It feels like a good transition for that. There's this one behind the scenes thing I want to mention too. When this first aired and you see the footage of the attack on the Earthlings or humans, the guys at the special effects house decided to save some time, and they knew they had to have an Earth cruiser in that video. So they pulled an asset, and they pulled the Agamemnon, Sheridan's old ship. And you can definitely see on the original that, like, oh, Sheridan's ship that blew those guys up. They actually went back later and changed it for future releases because that's a little bit too much on the nose.
Yeah.
Even for a tacked on ending.
Yeah.
But yeah, for a bit there, it was like, oh, that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah. The what would have been the season 4 finale. I won't describe what happens in this episode, but I will say it is 4 episodes away. It's season 4, episode 18. He's gone on record of saying would have been the season 4 finale, and then everything after that would have been a season, along with probably some of the stuff we get at the top of season 5. They worked that in.
I could see that. I will say one other thing too, just another little shameless plug is we're getting very close to War Without End. And in fact, when this drops, we'll be even closer. One of our bonus episodes is we are going to go over the original Babylon 5 plan. That was the original pitch back before season 1 started. So we'll be talking about that when we drop War Without End. So that's a fun kind of conversation we have as well too about how things could have gone, and it would have been different.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of real interesting stuff there. Which
JMS had a 10-year plan.
It's ambitious.
You know, why not?
Yeah. Well, if you're going to invent the 5-year plan for TV, may as well do the 10-year while you're at it.
Yeah, shoot for the moon.
Kill it all.
Shoot for the moon. But in not shooting for the moon, but maybe shooting kind of close to the moon, we've got season 4, episode 15, No Surrender, No Retreat. It's a shame this came out before Galaxy Quest.
Every time I hear that episode title now, I'm like, oh man, Tim Allen, here we go. Let's do it.
Sheridan again gets ready for war after 10,000 unarmed refugees are killed. He battles Earth destroyers to liberate a planet threatened by Earth. Londo makes a surprising proposal to Chakar. Garibaldi leaves.
That's a lot of
real
things.
Disjointed. And honestly, that's the pace of a lot of these episodes coming up. You can tell that they cut a lot of stuff. They crammed a lot of things together. Yeah, I've commented in the past, some of my least favorite episodes of the show are the ones where it sacrifices the show for the sake of the plot. And actually, a fun note on commentary from The Road Home, which neither of you have gotten to listen to yet, but there's a whole bit where JMS is talking about his growth as a writer, where he thought it used to be plot that drove the story, and then he realized it was characters that drove the story, and then he realized it was something else that drove characters that drove the plot. And I'll let you listen to the commentary tracks, and I won't ruin it for you because it's a fun time.
Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go out and buy the Blu-ray since my digital copy doesn't have the commentary. Thanks, Amazon.
It has been spotted in Targets. I will say that.
That's exciting.
Supposedly, the sales of this thing have been through the roof. And I haven't just heard that from
I love
JMS.
it.
I've heard it from other folks like publishers and stuff that Warner Brothers had a thought of what this would sell, and they didn't make enough copies based on the sales they got.
You love to hear it.
That's great news. That's very
So
promising if we weren't in strike land, probably you think we would have had another one.
I think they would have made an announcement. And maybe not reboot, but I almost guarantee, based on just the numbers I've seen, we're going to get another animated movie.
Awesome.
More content.
Because they're made for cheap, and Warner Brothers Animation can churn those suckers. I mean, if you watch the DC animated movies, they can churn those suckers out pretty quick.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is the end of our trips to Epsilon 3.
Yeah. There was a tweet from JMS the other day where he's all like, realistically 2 a year.
Yeah.
If they keep going.
They can churn them out. And he also said too, and I may get in trouble because I don't think this was on the Patreon, but he said that they kept all the assets. So now it's going to be even faster because you don't have to redesign and redraw Babylon 5 now. You've got the asset. Plug it in.
If it was on the Patreon, he definitely said that aloud at San Diego Comic-Con. So.
Excellent. That's another reason why I've been yelled at by JMS. So I have to be careful sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't listen to our podcast. No worries.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I got called out on his Patreon. It's a whole thing.
We got a rebel here, guys.
You know who else is a rebel? Fault. Jeremy Siegel, who composed our lovely theme music. Thank you, Jeremy.
A moment of transition. Good job.
You did it.
I've got this giant barrel of segues next to me, and I just dive in like I'm bobbing for apples.
Is it next to the well of dad jokes?
A listener and friend of the pod, Ben, keeps those. None of the dad jokes are here. Anyways, Jeremy, thank you so much for our theme music. We really appreciate your contribution to the podcast. We wouldn't be the same without you. Go ahead and find Jeremy's music at jeremysiegel42.bandcamp.com or on Spotify and other streaming services as Nuclear Jaguar.
And thank you to Angry Duck Time Machine on Instagram for our podcast artwork.
Aaron, thanks so much for making sure that we sound like we're coherent individuals. Really appreciate all the time you put into editing the podcast. Thank you.
And the extra time now that I'm on here. Sorry.
It's a delight. Don't worry about it. And thank you to you, the listener, for being here with us. We appreciate you in the community.
Yeah.
Come join us in the Discord or send us an email at whoareyoub5@gmail.com if you want to share your thoughts.
Yeah.
All the cool kids are on the Who Are You Discord because I am.
It's true.
Yeah.
We should
come hang with Scott too.
Talk much.
We should probably start asking for season 4 finale thoughts. By the time this airs, we'll be looking at recording that episode. So yeah, please send us your thoughts on season 4 for our season 4 recap episode.
Yeah.
We got to start remembering to plug that. And we'll see you next week, Internet. Take care.
Bye.